The restaurant lights dimmed as she leaned forward, her eyes suddenly vulnerable. Look, should have told you earlier. If you want to leave because I have 2 kids, I understand. My heart stopped, not because I wanted to leave, but because I realized in that moment how much I wanted to stay. Hey everyone, if you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more real and emotional content like this. Your support means everything. I never expected to be back in the dating scene at 34. My 5-year relationship with Melissa had ended 8 months ago when she decided that our lives were heading in different directions. I love you, James, she had said, but I don't think we want the same things anymore. The same things. What she meant was that I wanted a family, and she didn't. Not with me, anyway. The breakup left me adrift. I threw myself into work, spending long hours at the architectural firm where I'd been employed for the past decade. My designs became sharper, more focused, winning praise from clients and partners alike. But my apartment felt emptier than ever. It was my sister Kate who finally intervened. You can't hide in your blueprints forever, she told me over coffee one Sunday morning. It's been 8 months. You need to get back out there. I'm not hiding, I protested weakly. Kate gave me that look, the one she'd perfected since we were kids, the one that said she could see right through me. You haven't been on a single date since Melissa. That's hiding. She was right, of course. The thought of starting over, of making small talk across restaurant tables with strangers, felt exhausting. But Kate was persistent. She mentioned a friend named Anna who worked as a pediatric nurse. She's smart, she's kind, and she loves architecture. You two would have plenty to talk about. I reluctantly agreed to a blind date, more to appease Kate than anything else. We arranged to meet at Bellini's, a small Italian restaurant downtown that was quiet enough for conversation but lively enough to ease the awkwardness of a first date. The evening of our date, I arrived 15 minutes early, a habit I couldn't break. I chose a table near the window and ordered a glass of Cabernet to calm my nerves. At precisely 7 o'clock, the door opened, and a woman walked in who made me sit up straighter. Anna was beautiful, but not in the conventional way that Melissa had been. Where Melissa had been all polished edges and careful perfection, Anna had a warmth to her that was immediately apparent. Her dark hair fell in natural waves around her shoulders, and her smile, when she spotted me and waved, reached all the way to her eyes. You must be James, she said, extending her hand. I'm Anna. It's nice to finally meet you. Her handshake was firm, confident. I stood to pull out her chair, and she thanked me with another smile that made something in my chest loosen for the first time in months. Kate has told me a lot about you, I said as we settled in. All good things, I hope. She mentioned you're a pediatric nurse. Anna nodded, her face lighting up. Going on 8 years now. I work in the oncology ward at Children's Hospital. That must be difficult, I said, genuinely impressed. It can be, she admitted. But it's also incredibly rewarding. Those kids, they teach me something new every day about courage and resilience. She took a sip of water. Kate tells me you're an architect? And just like that, we fell into easy conversation. Anna asked thoughtful questions about my work, genuinely interested in the projects I was passionate about. I found myself explaining concepts I usually glossed over with non-architects, but she followed along, asking questions that showed she was really listening. When our food arrived, linguine with clams for her, oh so buco for me, we barely paused in our conversation. We discovered a shared love of old black and white films, a mutual appreciation for Sunday morning hikes, and the same favorite spot on the coast where we'd both watched sunsets on separate occasions. We might have crossed paths before and never known it, she said, laughing. I would have remembered you, I replied, surprising myself with my boldness. A slight blush colored her cheeks, and she looked down at her plate momentarily. When she looked back up, there was something different in her eyes, a hesitation that hadn't been there before. James, there's something I should tell you, she said, her voice quieter now. I felt a familiar tightening in my stomach, the same sensation I'd experienced when Melissa had started conversations with those exact words. "Okay," I said, bracing myself. Anna took a deep breath. "I have 2 children. Emma is 7, and Noah is 5. The words hung between us, and I could see her watching my reaction carefully. This was clearly a moment she'd experienced before, the moment when a promising connection suddenly changed course. "If you want to leave because I have 2 kids, I understand," she continued, her voice steady despite the vulnerability in her eyes. "I know it's a lot, and not everyone is looking to date someone with children. I should have mentioned it earlier, but sometimes I just want to have a conversation where that's not the first thing someone knows about me." I sat there, processing her words. 2 children. A ready-made family. It wasn't what I had expected when I'd agreed to this date. And yet, "I don't want to leave," I said, surprising myself with how true the words felt. "I want to hear about them." The relief on her face was immediate and profound. "Really?" "Really," I confirmed. "Tell me about Emma and Noah." Anna's entire demeanor changed as she began to speak about her children. Emma was artistic and thoughtful, already reading at a level far beyond her years. Noah was all energy and curiosity, constantly taking things apart to see how they worked. As she spoke, I could see the fierce love she had for them, the way they were the center of her world. "Their father isn't in the picture," she said after a while, answering the question I hadn't asked. "He left when Noah was still a baby. Said he wasn't cut out for fatherhood." There was no bitterness in her voice, just a matter-of-fact acceptance. "That must have been difficult," I said. "It was, at first. But we found our rhythm, the 3 of us. My parents live nearby and help out when I have night shifts. We make it work." She paused, studying me. "I know it's a package deal. Me and them. I wouldn't have it any other way." "I wouldn't expect you to," I said honestly. The conversation shifted then, becoming deeper, more meaningful. Anna told me about the challenges of single parenthood, about the guilt she sometimes felt when work kept her away from her children, about the joy of watching them grow and develop their own personalities. I found myself sharing more too, about my desire for a family, about how that incompatibility had ultimately ended my relationship with Melissa, about my fears that at 34, I might have missed my chance. By the time we finished our tiramisu, sharing bites across the table, 3 hours had passed in what felt like minutes. When the check came, I insisted on paying, promising that she could get the next one. "The next one?" she asked, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "If you'd like there to be a next one," I said, suddenly uncertain. "I would," she said simply. We walked out into the cool night air, and I offered to walk her to her car. As we strolled side by side, our hands brushed once, twice, before I gathered my courage and took her hand in mine. Her fingers intertwined with mine naturally, as if they belonged there. At her car, we faced each other, still holding hands. "I had a really nice time tonight, James," she said. "So did I replied. "More than I expected to." She laughed softly. "Is that a compliment?" "Definitely," I said, smiling. "I haven't enjoyed an evening this much in a long time." There was a moment of silence, filled with possibility. I leaned forward slightly, and she met me halfway. Our first kiss was gentle, tentative, a question being asked and answered. When we pulled apart, her eyes remained closed for a beat longer, and I found myself memorizing the curve of her eyelashes against her cheek. "I should get home," she said softly. "The babysitter." "Of course," I nodded. "Can I call you tomorrow?" "I'd like that," she said, squeezing my hand once before letting go. I watched her drive away, standing in the parking lot long after her taillights had disappeared around the corner. Something had shifted inside me, a door opening that I thought had been permanently closed. Our second date was at the Children's Science Museum. Anna had suggested it tentatively, explaining that she had promised Emma and Noah a visit that weekend. I understand if it's too soon, she had said over the phone. Meeting my kids is a big step. I'd love to, I had replied, surprising myself with how much I meant it. The morning of our museum date, I found myself standing in front of my closet, deliberating over what to wear with an intensity one hadn't felt since high school. What exactly was the appropriate outfit for meeting the children of the woman you were beginning to fall for? I finally settled on jeans and a blue button-down shirt that Kate had once told me brought out my eyes. I arrived at the museum entrance 15 minutes early, again, that habit, and paced nervously near the ticket counter. What if the kids didn't like me? What if I said the wrong thing? What if... James. I turned to see Anna walking toward me, a child holding each of her hands. She was dressed casually in jeans and a green sweater, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked younger somehow, more relaxed than she had at the restaurant. "Hi," I said, suddenly shy. "Emma, Noah, this is my friend James that I told you about," Anna said, kneeling down to their level. "James, this is Emma and this is Noah." Emma regarded me solemnly, her dark eyes, so like her mother's, assessing me with a seriousness that belied her 7 years. "Mom says you build buildings," she said. "I do," I confirmed, kneeling down as well so we were eye to eye. "I design them first on paper and on computers, and then other people build them." "Like Legos?" Noah asked, his eyes wide with interest. I smiled. "Exactly like Legos, just bigger." Noah nodded, apparently satisfied with this answer. "I'm good at Legos," he informed me. "I built a spaceship yesterday." "I'd love to see it sometime," I said, and was rewarded with a gap-toothed smile that made my heart twist in my chest. Emma was still studying me. "Do you like dinosaurs?" she asked finally. "I do," I said. "Especially the ones with the really long necks." "Brachiosaurus," she corrected me immediately. "They were herbivores." "You're right," I said, impressed. "You know a lot about dinosaurs." She nodded, a small smile finally breaking through her serious expression. "I have a book about them. I can read it all by myself." "That's amazing," I said sincerely. Anna caught my eye over the children's heads, her expression a mixture of pride and something softer, more vulnerable. "Should we go in?" she suggested. The next 4 hours were a whirlwind of exhibits, experiments, and discoveries. Noah dragged me from display to display, his enthusiasm infectious as he pressed buttons and turned cranks with abandon. Emma was more methodical, reading every plaque carefully before engaging with the exhibits, asking thoughtful questions that sometimes left me scrambling for answers. "Why does the water spin different ways?" she asked at the vortex exhibit. "It's because of something called the Coriolis effect," I began, then paused, trying to figure out how to explain complex physics to a 7-year-old. It's complicated. "Because the Earth spins," Anna supplied, coming to my rescue. "Remember how we talked about that?" Emma nodded, satisfied, and moved on to the next exhibit. Anna squeezed my arm gently. "Don't worry," she whispered. "She stumps me all the time too." By the time we reached the museum cafe for a late lunch, both children had warmed to me considerably. Noah insisted on sitting next to me, while Emma carefully arranged her dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets in order of size before eating them. "Are you going to be Mom's boyfriend?" Noah asked suddenly, his mouth full of French fries. I choked on my soda, and Anna's eyes widened in alarm. "Noah," she admonished gently. "Remember what we talked about? Some questions are private." "But I want to know," Noah persisted. "Tommy at school has a mom and a dad and a stepdad. Is James going to be our stepdad?" The question hung in the air between us, impossibly heavy for having come from such a small person. I looked at Anna, who seemed torn between embarrassment and curiosity about how I would respond. "Right now, I'm just getting to know your mom," I said carefully. "And I'm getting to know you and Emma too. We're all becoming friends." "But you like her," Emma stated, her eyes shrewd. You look at her the way Prince Charming looks at Cinderella in my book. Now it was my turn to blush. I do like your mom, I admitted. She's pretty great. Anna's eyes met mine across the table, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. I think James is pretty great too, she told her children, but her gaze remained on me. Something warm unfurled in my chest, a feeling of rightness that I hadn't experienced in a very long time. After lunch, we explored the rest of the museum, ending in the gift shop where I insisted on buying Emma a book about marine biology, her other passion besides dinosaurs, I had learned, and Noah a build-your-own robot kit. Anna protested weakly, but I could tell she was touched by the gesture. As we walked to the parking lot, Noah slipped his small hand into mine as naturally as if he'd been doing it his whole life. On my other side, Emma was chattering excitedly to her mother about the exhibits we'd seen. The four of us must have looked like any other family enjoying a weekend outing. Family. The word echoed in my mind, both terrifying and exhilarating. At Anna's car, the children said goodbye with surprising enthusiasm. Noah hugged my legs tightly, while Emma offered a more reserved but equally sincere, "Thank you for the book, James." I had a great time, I told them honestly. Maybe we can do this again sometime? Both children looked to their mother expectantly. Anna smiled. I think that could be arranged. After getting the kids buckled into their car seats, Anna walked back to where I was standing. "Thank you for today," she said softly. "They really liked you." "I really liked them too," I said, surprised by how true it was. "They're amazing kids, Anna." "They are," she agreed, pride evident in her voice. "And thank you for being so natural with them. Not everyone knows how to talk to children." "It was easy," I said. "They're easy to talk to. Like their mom." She smiled, stepping closer. "So, what Prince Charming looks at Cinderella, huh?" I laughed, feeling my face heat up again. "Kids notice everything." "They do," she agreed. "It's both wonderful and terrifying." She paused, her expression growing more serious. "James, I want to be clear about something. My children are my priority. Always. Dating as a single parent is complicated. If this," she gestured between us, "is going to continue, I need to know that you understand what you're getting into." I took her hands in mine, considering my words carefully. "I don't know what the future holds, Anna. But I know that I want to spend more time with you. And with Emma and Noah. I'm not scared off by the fact that you're a package deal. If anything, it makes me admire you more." She studied my face, searching for any sign of hesitation or insincerity. Finding none, she leaned forward and kissed me softly. "I should get them home for nap time," she murmured against my lips. "Call me later?" I asked. She nodded, squeezing my hands once before letting go. As I watched them drive away, Noah waving enthusiastically from the back window, I felt something settle inside me, a certainty that had been missing for a very long time. The next few months passed in a blur of dates, both with and without the children. Anna and I discovered a rhythm, finding time for adult conversations over dinner after the kids were in bed, or during lunch breaks when our schedules aligned. But some of my favorite moments were the ones that included Emma and Noah: Saturday morning pancake breakfasts, trips to the park, movie nights with popcorn and blanket forts in Anna's living room. I found myself thinking about them during the day, wondering how Emma's science project was coming along or if